something, Janice? I
Yes,
think
please.
for those of you guys watching this, the only thing that I want you all to consider is I know we jump from topic. It might seem like we jump from one topic to another, and we were going all over the place. But among the six of us, we knew what we were doing because this is exactly what we do on an ongoing basis. But if you felt lost, just know that we were trying to address what was coming up during this session among the six of us, right? It's not going to be the same every session after session. So if something along this session, if it resonated with you, hit pause and ask yourself the question to say that where in my life is this true for me? Or is this something that is happening with me? What can I do? Or if there's something that you picked up from here that you could experiment and implement in your own life, especially given that this is the holiday season, we're all going to be in family spaces, each other's spaces. So see where you can maybe, come from a place of a little bit of grace towards yourself as well as, people in your life. I think that's going to be extremely helpful. So hit pause every single time something resonates with you and ask yourself those tough questions that Janice was initially talking about. So with that, stay tuned for more, I would say. That's all that I wanted to add, Janice.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our pilot of Coaching and Chill. My name is Janice, and I am showing up here today from Orange County, California.
My name's Heather Stewart, and I'm excited to be here. I am tuning in from Vancouver, Canada.
Hi, beautiful people. I'm Talia. I'm here in New York.
Hello, everyone. I am Shafaq, and I'm here from Canada.
Hey, everyone. Kusum here from Seattle.
Yo, what's happening, people? It's your boy Pri. I'm tuning in from London. Let's go.
Uncle Pri in the house.
Let's do it.
I would love to start off by sharing why we're all here. We each have our own unique reason for showing up and supporting you today, but collectively, ultimately, we're all here to serve and to bring awareness to coaching and the life coaching profession, and to give BIPOC and children of immigrants a safe space for you to be seen and heard.
Whoop, whoop.
Should I go now?
Sure.
All right. So I am here because as these guys have named me the resident Reese Witherspoon, I am here to learn more so I can be better. Basically, I really just want to help support in the best way I can. And sometimes that's just about learning more and becoming more educated and becoming more understanding of the struggles and what happens for the BIPOC community. So I'm here to learn and to support in any way that I possibly can.
Well, I think that I just sign up for that too. And well, my intention is to be open and this is a way of me investing in expanding and strengthening my knowledge and awareness of BIPOC experiences. And but also I want to, through this experience of sharing the space and learning, I want to highlight on other avenues the importance of cultural diversity as a sustainable development accelerator. And I just want to drop a fact that 70% of millennials are more likely to go with the teamwork and emphasize the impact and the collaboration. And I think that's what we are doing here. We are a representation of this. And yes, I just want to support, be an ally for the community. And yeah, so we can bring that impact in the world together.
So I am here because Janice asked me, but no, I'm from Pakistan. I'm in Canada, but I'm from Pakistan, and I really want to educate people on coaching in my part of the world because there's a lot of stigma there. And I want to tell them that coaching is not only for first world problems. We all can get some benefit from coaching. And just want to destigmatize some of the beliefs around it. But mainly to have fun with you guys every week because you guys are my favorite people. Oh, I said guys, I'm sorry. Favorite people.
Ah,
Very
good
good.
catch.
Yes, we're all learning here.
Way to go, you guys. Hey, so I'm here because just like Shafaq, I am from India. I grew up there. So most of the things that you might think of or issues, so to speak, if you guys think of, I've been there, seen that. Some of them I've faced, overcome myself, and I know exactly what that feels like. And I'm also here to learn because there's no way that I can really understand every issue or every problem that each individual deals with. So it's a twofold impact that I'm looking for here. One is to empower people who are going through some of the things that I have been through myself. And I always wish that there was somebody that I could look up to, like a role model or somebody that I could ask advice for the lack of a better word, right? Back then, but I had to find out my own path. If you will. But I like the rest of the these amazing people are sharing as well is that learn from one another, learn from each other. I can't speak. It's early in the morning. Learn from each other and grow ourselves as we also try to make an impact.
I'll be honest with all of you lot, yeah. I don't even know why I'm here. I think I clicked something and all of a sudden I'm part of this group. Like it's evening for me out here. And yeah, now to be honest, Janice's message has been quite like empowering, and I just thought being a British Asian and like facing challenges that I've faced in the past, it seemed like it's a very, very good space to like open up and like try and help on a coaching platform as well. And these girls are actually very empowering, and they've helped me on my journey. So I thought, why not continue the rest of my coaching journey with them as well with this pilot podcast coaching chill thing. Let's go.
And can I add something there, Pri? I think it's a mutual admiration club that we have going on here, which is beautiful because we all come from such varied backgrounds, and we are all from all over the world, and we've only known each other for just a couple of months. And the bond we have going on here goes to show that there's no barriers or no boundaries that can get in the way of you coming together and collaborating. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Love that. Thank you all so much for being here. And my personal mission is to make life coaching accessible to everyone. I mean, my big vision is that every single person in the world has a life coach in their arsenal of wellness providers. So, this is something that I feel, and then serving this underserved community and making it accessible to this community is definitely something that I feel strongly about. So onward. The structure for the call or the coaching and chill is to keep it pretty chill. We intend to start with a theme or sort of topic each session. And before I introduce our topic for today, I want to remind everyone that we are not experts. We're simply sharing our experiences, and we're also learning on this journey, but we are all life coaches, and we all bring a unique perspective to the table. And we want to continue that journey. So that, along with by having these sort of conversations, we want to demonstrate and highlight and give you a taste of the aspects of coaching and our intention is that you are an active participant in this whole process and conversation. So we invite you to share your experiences with us. We want you to ask yourself these hard questions and really go inward and reflect. And yeah, I mean, that's really what life coaching is all about. It's not really a lot more than that. And we hope that we're able to showcase that in a fun and funny way. So our theme for today is boundaries, 2020, December, family time. What more can we say? We will start with manifesto, which, you know, there's different intentions for the manifesto, but one way, what anyone want to chime in with what their view on a manifesto is, or the intention of it before I share my screen?
I would say it's basically a manifesto, as I see, is basically sort of a guideline to remind us and keep us honest if we start to lose track of why we are and why we are here and what we are trying to do. That's how I always refer to manifesto as. And yeah, that's my quick opinion about that, Janice.
I think it will also help us with starting the conversation and some reflections.
Love that. All right. Would anyone like to read this?
Free.
Why don't we all, Janice, maybe we can all one line go around the table in the same order that we introduced ourselves.
Oh, there's
Love that. Well, are there 6 lines?
Yeah.
It was meant to be, you guys.
Serendipitous. Oh my God. Okay, so this excerpt is from Manual of the Warrior of Light. Paulo Coelho, I hope I'm not butchering his name, is one of my favorite authors, poets, lyricists. And this was chosen by Talia. She's our resident fact checker, data guru. So I'll start. The warrior knows that the most important words in all languages are the small words.
Yes, love, God. Do I read the next line?
Yeah.
They are words that are easy enough to say in which fill vast empty spaces.
There is, however, one word, another small word, that many people have great difficulties in saying: no.
Someone who never says no thinks of himself as generous, understanding, polite, because no is thought of as being nasty, selfish, unspiritual.
The warrior does not fall into this trap. There are times when I'm saying yes to others, he's actually saying no to himself.
That is why he never says yes with his lips, if in his heart he is saying no.
Wow.
So cool.
So good. So good. I just got goosebumps. I'm all like goosebumpy.
So powerful, right?
Very good.
Jeez.
So what do you think, guys? When do you resonate with this? Do you have like any specific line that really hit home?
Yep, it did for me. When the line that I read, actually, it reminded me of my mom, who never says no. And she is like, whenever I say no, she always corrects me and says, like, you should sometimes be more considerate and say yes just because they're asking for something, and you should just be nice to them. And so her perception of me saying no is selfish, as it says here, and that's a very interesting concept that I just read. I'll share it with my mom.
Yeah, I think those last two lines kind of like summarize everything I was pretty much going through until I had these NLP sessions, to be honest. Like always saying yes and being like a people's pleaser when deep down I just didn't really agree with it. So yeah, that kind of like, damn, Talia, how are you finding this out of nowhere? Jeez, man, it's not meant to be an emotional talk right now. It's meant to be like coaching and chill, not
Yeah,
get me in my
just
feelings.
chilling, just chilling.
Who said
We all just start bawling our eyes out.
emotional?
I'm calling up Mira right now. I'm getting her in.
Pri, you can get away from NLP, but NLP is never going to leave you. All right, you might need kind of sessions.
Unbelievable, honestly.
But as I read this, you guys, I might have had a different experience where I think I've never really had an issue saying no. I've always been somebody who says yes if I truly mean it, because maybe from seeing, like as Shafaq was saying, right, seeing our parents being always somebody who always said yes to people just because they wanted to come from a place of giving. I think very early on, I learned the lesson that does not take you too far, because I would see my mom like work for so long, work hard. And then I'm like, okay, why are you doing this? And, not taking care of yourself. And now that I'm a mom, I'm even more of an advocate of, saying yes to yourself first before you say yes to others. Because at the end of the day, you might say yes to others while saying no to yourself, but you're still going to hold on to that I didn't actually take care of myself. It's going to come back to you sooner or later and catch up with you. And then there's going to be a lot more regrets. So if anyone else out there who's also listening to this, if you're also a parent, I would say this hits harder and goes much deeper than for the rest of you guys, I would think.
Kusum, can I ask you?
Sure.
You learned like you say, you learned quite early to say no. How is that perceived in your family?
Because I've always been somebody who would speak my mind. They knew they didn't read too much into that, because they're like, okay, that's how she is, and she will not do anything just because we are asking her to do something. She'll only do something if she truly believes that she wants to do it. So my parents were okay with that.
So you didn't get pushback, like Shafaq's saying no?
Sometimes, if it was like, especially I would say around the time of my wedding, I would say, right? Because my parents already knew who I am as an individual, but then when you're getting married, there's certain expectations and, certain levels of compromise. I hate to use the word compromise, but for the lack of a better word, I still use the word compromise, like trying to make sure that I don't, it's not even disobey, like dishonor somebody else's beliefs or traditions or rituals, because that's huge in our culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way. But my in-laws too learned very early on that, hey, this is who she is. But right now, when we go back and visit, just to because we are there only for a few weeks, and not to cause too much disrupt in the equation that they have going on back home, I might do a thing or two, even though I don't really want to do something. But it doesn't do much harm to me. So I'm okay with that.
I have had experiences, not my experiences, but one of my friends' families, there's no barrier between what the relatives would discuss versus what's private within the immediate family. And so saying no to even that is a problem there, where if you say no to a relative for something or not include the relative in the decision-making process, there's a huge disrespect aspect associated with that. It's like, how come you never shared this with us? Or we did so much for you, so now, like, why do you not think that we're worthy of being included in the discussion and stuff like that? So it just doesn't, in at least in my culture, just doesn't confine to the immediate family. It goes beyond the immediate family and spreads in the relatives as well, which is crazy to me.
That was very much the case for my husband, Shafaq, because he grew up in a joint family where
Yeah.
they were like, it was a huge family because his parents lived abroad when he was very little. So later on, any decision that he made by default became like everybody had to come together to either agree or disagree. But he grew out of it over the years. But then initially there was that expectation from him that, everybody, like, it was like a family of 15, 20 people, and everybody had to either agree or disagree to something that
Yep.
somebody wanted to do. So I totally know what you mean.
Shafaq, you said it's crazy that it's going that way. What is what would be in your view, the reasonable and kind of ideal for you boundary, like in that sense? How would it look like?
It would very much look like, if I didn't come to my uncle for advice on something, that doesn't mean that I don't respect that uncle or I don't love him. It's more like I figured what was right for me in that moment. And even if it wasn't right for me, I'll learn it by experience. So I would ideally like to have that trust with the relatives or even the immediate family for them to be like, okay, she's making her decisions. She's old enough to do that. We'll trust her with it. And if she falls, we'll support her, but we would like to have we would like to allow her that experience of falling and then learning by experience. That would be a better situation than just forcing me to see something that I'm not seeing myself, because that creates kind of like a resentment towards the relatives or the immediate family, and also a lot of pushback from my side, because if you're forcing me to do something, even if it's right for me, my mind is not going to look at it that way. It would look at it as someone else is telling me to do something, and that is not my choice. And even if it's good for me, I won't see it that way. So the point kind of gets lost when you're forced to do something you're not seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it that I'm curious, that respect is only because they are older members of the family, right?
For the most part, yes. The respect comes with the experience and the age they're in,
That they know better.
yeah, they know better. They know better. They have seen life. They have had the experiences. I don't know the struggles that they went through, so I should just be grateful that I could learn from that experience without having to go through the struggle. So those are some of the things that I get to hear on a daily basis about being old. But that's, I think, a separate discussion.
If you think about their intentions though, like can you respect that their intentions are that is their way of expressing care and love for you, and understanding that they're really coming from a caring place from you. Maybe that's incorrect, but I just wonder, like, I remember distinctly when I came to the moment of realizing that my mom wasn't full of it, and everything that she tried to tell me as a kid, I was like, oh, she actually knows stuff. You know what I mean? I think you always kind of get to that point where you're like, oh, okay, I should have actually listened to them. So I wonder if it's like, albeit maybe the delivery is not amazing, and the whole topic of this boundaries, maybe their boundaries are a bit off, but they do come from a caring place.
Oh, of course, of course. I do agree that the intention is not bad. The love is not, mixed with any ill intentions or anything.
Yeah.
It's just that there is still, like, I think ego plays a little bit of a role even there, even though you're coming from a place of care and love, because you think you know better, and because you think you want to protect that kid or the younger one from falling or whatever. You think that you are capable of saving them. But at the end of the day, everyone has their own experiences. And so controlling your young one is not going to be the answer.
It's so hard though. Like, sorry, Pri, go ahead.
Go on.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm a mom, so I understand the perspective of like, I think I have more of an awareness than people of the older generation would have, because I have that awareness that this little person is her own person. But I don't know if it's ego that drives that push to have them want you to not fall and to not falter and things like that. It honestly, if I can maybe make a blanket statement, it honestly just comes from I'm just going to do whatever I can to help protect you, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that you're not going to maim yourself and hurt yourself. I know from my perspective, and again, this is just my perspective, there's no ego involved there. It really just comes from a knee jerk, I got to take care of this thing because this is my responsibility. And it's like, it's really important to me that they're okay in whatever aspect that is. So it really isn't like, if it's myself, if it's my husband, if it's anyone else, if their intention is to look after my daughter, I'm okay with it.
That's a great point. I was going to say something along the same lines, because when we are parents, we see everything in a completely different light, right? Because the same thing, if somebody told me, like, even when it was our parents, all they wanted to do was protect me or protect us from, whatever, save us, right? I would never get that back then. I'm like, it's okay, I will figure it out. It's okay, I can screw it up and then I'll figure it out, right? That's the place I always came from. And also the fact that I would think that, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about, as if I knew everything that I was talking about back then, right? And this was when I was in my teens, or when I was in college. But then when you become a parent, as you're saying, right, that the way that we always jump to protect, like, if my son is like, if my toddler is jumping on the couch, I'm like, you're going to fall, don't do that. You run to, like, hold him or whatever. But I think to what Shafaq is saying, when it is religious, I'm just curious to understand. I genuinely believe that there's ego also in play besides just love, right? Because when you're a mom and a parent, it's a different kind of protecting versus when it's any other relationship. I do see that there's a huge part that ego does play there, as well as love and the experience and all of those things that you guys mentioned.
I agree. I love ego talk.
Me too. Me too.
I
studied psych. I'm like, I could go into this very deeply.
But I want to ask Heather, actually, because, like, so you say that it's your responsibility to protect and take care of this child, right?
As she's little, yes.
So you took on this job of being a mom. And I would assume, but I'll ask, that you get some fulfillment from doing this job well.
Mm-hmm.
So can you feel that ego part of wanting, desiring to do your job well, and that's the intention?
Yeah, I mean, I am aware of how I have to let go of the idea that she's mine, in the sense of, like, she's not mine. And I say every day that she is my biggest teacher, and I protect her to help her thrive and to make sure that she has all of her limbs and a life to live. And maybe that is part of the ego, is because I want her to be around, and that's really not up to me. It's her journey. So yeah, I could probably see that.
Yeah, but I wanted also, like, to come back to what Shafaq was saying before, and I kind of see a pattern of this saving part, saving others, because you mentioned, like, that your mom was saying yes to everyone and wanted you to be nicer to others. And I feel like there is something that she wanted to, like this also motherly feeling of taking care of others and saving them. And like, do you have subconsciously that part in you?
You are, just because you know me.
I use my data.
Yes, I suffered from savior complex for like, I think 24 out of the 25 years of my life. I loved saving people, but for different reasons. My mom wants me to be nicer because this is another cultural topic, but I'm supposed to know how to carry all kinds of relationships in a family so I can be a better daughter-in-law or a wife or a mother. And so I need to be able to communicate with relatives better and just compromise and settle on some of the things and not be so outspoken. So that I'm playing out my mom as this. She's not as conservative as I make her sound like, but it's still, she's like the underlying sentence that comes out of her is like, what are you going to do in your home? Like, if you cannot settle on this, how are you going to communicate with people who are not your parents, who are not going to take your shit? Like, how are you going to do that? So that's why she would prefer me to be nicer, but I think she's given up on me already.
That's so interesting. So a lot of what you have shared, like the premise or the essence of it, is really how you relate to your future in-laws family.
Yeah, the future family where I'm supposed to be, this respectful person. Which I'm not like, I don't misbehave, but I don't stand up for bullshit. Like I'm not going to just keep quiet if something is really off, in my opinion. I would question, not scream at them or yell at them, but I would question and challenge their ideologies. So sometimes my mom's like, you don't have to speak up every single time you see something. Like, we get it. Just don't open up your mouth every single time. Like, okay.
Like, pick your battles.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the true warrior, picking your battles, and you are literally aligning your head and your heart. I mean, if we're going back to like setting those boundaries in regard to yourself and this beautiful poem.
saying no to some of the battles, basically.
You've been quiet. What chime in on this?
I kind of get what Shafaq's saying, because like I feel like it's a standard. My opinion, it's a standard kind of like Asian thing that comes up. Like, you've got to like respect your elders, and you can't open your mouth, and you can't say certain things when you're around certain people.
Bullshit.
I say fuck that shit, man. Don't tell me what the fuck I can't do. You're crazy, man. Shut the fuck up, man.
This video
like,
we're such entitled children.
It's not even that. It's like it's all generation just passed down, and you've got to have like a certain level of respect, and I get that. And I think something that you touched upon earlier was like this whole concept of like it's people forget when they say things, it's coming from a good place, right? When you try and look after your kids or your siblings, whatever, it's coming from a good place, but you don't actually hear what you're saying. And that's where the communication error comes into it, because you're not actually realizing how they're interpreting it. And that's where it becomes a problem. Because like someone may not see it as caring. And if my mom tells me to do something, I know my mom's caring, but like if my dad tells me to do something, I'm like, geez, like, shut up, man. What are you talking to? Like, no, I don't want to hear this shit kind of thing. Like, whatever. Talk to me another day kind of thing. And it's not because I don't have a good relationship. I've got a great relationship with my dad, but like sometimes he doesn't hear how he's projecting it. And that's where it becomes, I think that's where usually the problem lies. It's not like you don't care for your kids. You do, obviously, all that love's all there, but You've actually got to listen to how people are hearing it. And I think that's key. That's
So
key.
it's
But I
more of
definitely
the
hear,
delivery that's the issue?
I don't think it's not even the delivery. I think it's just a general thing that I think humans in general don't realize they're doing. We say things with the best intentions, but we don't actually take a second to look back and say, shit, how are they actually listening to that? Are they thinking it as, am I moaning in the tone of my voice? Does it come across like that? Like when you tell your kids, now don't go out kind of thing, are they thinking that you're trying to like keep them trapped, keep them indoors, hold them in? Like, are you preventing them from doing something? Like, it's just a way you have to say, and it's just that communication thing that I think people need to work on to get the intentions correct from the get-go, rather than just saying things and then getting a bad reaction or response from it. That kind of makes sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I think that,
I mean, what
Priyesh setting the step number one for setting healthy boundaries, communication.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
Ooh.
I think based on what you were also saying, another thing that just occurred to me is, sure, because our parents' generation, they are completely different from who we are, right? Because they grew up believing that what they are now preaching as is the right thing to go about things, because that's how they were brought up. And generations before that grew up exactly with that mindset. But our generation is completely different, right? We are like, okay, we'll do what's right for us, etc. I think where we all get into that space of having issues with certain, like protecting or saying what to do and what not to do to us when it comes from our parents, they're only telling us from a place of, oh, what's the other person going to think? What are your relatives going to think about this? But I think if they also took some time to take a step back and say that, how do you feel about this? I think that's like the biggest missing part here, that they don't try to understand where we stand on this. It's always about them telling us, do this or don't do this, but not ever trying to understand, why is it that I want to do this, or why is it that I do not want to do this? But having said that, the way I've been able to come to terms with this is just that, right? Being graceful about the fact that, hey, my parents grew up in a certain way, their worldview is this much, and they didn't have all of the resources that we have at our disposal now, and they were only exposed to a very small set of ideals or beliefs or thoughts, unlike us, where we are all sitting across the globe and we have this opportunity to talk about things. They didn't have that. So when I was able to flip that script in my head and see them for what they had at their disposal at that point of time, that made it easy for me to be okay with the fact that, why are my parents telling me this? I don't get frustrated with that. I used to when I was growing up, but over the years I've gotten over that, and I don't hold anything against them because they told me to do this or not to do this.
I hear you. Go on. No, go on. You're going to interrupt me again, as you always do. So you might as well.
No, go for it. There you go.
There you go. Go.
It's gone. It's gone. It's done. It'll come back.
I wanted to ask you, Kusum, about how was that journey for you to let go of that against your parents, or if you ever had that in the first place? Like, was it ever present and you had to kind of let it go, or was it never there? Because I'm asking this because my sister has a lot of complaints about my mom not acknowledging her side of the story ever, about my mom's perspective, and she still stands to that perspective, that I can only talk to my kids. I'm not going to tell someone else to behave a certain way. I can only do that with my kids. So my power is with you guys only. So I'm not going to start a fight with someone else because they hurt you. I can just tell you that, don't get bothered by a thing. And so my sister has always, kept that resentment in her about, she never took my side, or she never understood me. She never acknowledged that I was the one getting hurt. And she always let the relatives get away with it and never stood up for me. So did it ever occur to you that was it present in the beginning where the resentment, or was it never there?
Very early on there was, before I realized that, hey, before I had to take a step back and look at it from a perspective of, hey, wait a second, I'm just blaming them for, not seeing me or not understanding what I want and what I want to do. That was there during the first few initial phases of my life, I would say, when I started doing things my own way, because I was also a kid who was very goody two shoes. From that to I had like a transformation back then, where it was kind of a shocker for my parents to see that what happened to our daughter. Like, she was always like, even though I was always very vocal about what I felt and I would always speak my mind, they were okay with that. And yet I was still, the goody two shoes kind of a girl. But that changed when I came to high school and after. Right at that point of time, for them it was a shock to see a different side of me, and for me too, because that's when I started getting all the pushback from them that, don't do this, don't do that, this is not good for you, etc., all of that. So initially I held that on for like maybe a couple of years, I would say. But then I also came to realize that, hey, you know what, they're only doing for my good. They don't know all of these things. I know all of these things because I go out, I do all of these whatever things that I'm interested in. I get to meet, their social circle is also very small, right? Unlike us, even back then with the limited social circle that I had, I still got to meet people from different kinds of backgrounds. So yeah, it was easier for me to flip that script once I took a step back and I was like, okay, it's fine. And to their credit, I've always tried to make them understand where I'm coming from through the years. And my parents come from a very orthodox traditional background. They've also met me along the way. They've also taken a step forward all along whenever I've tried to make them understand why I'm trying to do something. And I would pick my battles. There are certain things that I know my parents will never change, and there are certain things I'm able to make them understand why certain things are important to me, and they're like, okay, fine.
Okay.
So I got my point back again. It came back.
Yay.
So basically, yeah. So like when I look at like this whole concept of like communication and stuff, I look at so I've got a younger sister, and we always have this like perception that older brothers are quite protective and stuff like that. One thing I realized growing up was that my parents may say something to my sister where she may want to like act a bit differently just based on the fact that, well, Pri got to do what he likes, like why can't I, kind of thing. So with me, I'm kind of the person when I speak to her and I say to her, do whatever you want. Like I communicate the things that I know she definitely wants to hear. I'm not going to tell her not to do X, Y, and Z. So if you want to do it, you're a grown up girl now. Like you're a lady, all right? You're not a kid anymore. If you want to make these decisions, make these decisions. Like it's all on you. Like you have to deal with anything that comes with it, but that's you now, and take that on board. And I feel like when you say those things, I could easily come across and said, look, I don't think it's a good idea for you to do that, but that's me and my caring side of it coming in. I don't want to be a hypocrite here either. I'm going to say to look straight up, do I agree with what you think you're going to do? That's that's not the issue here right now. It's whatever you want to do. And I try and make it as clear as I can. So it's not coming across as too protective and like too caring, but there is an element of care there. And it's like, look, listen, I've got your back for whatever decision you want to make. But at the same time, like you've got to do what's right by you. And I think that's how I feel. Maybe I'm not a parent, look, I'm still a kid, but at the same time, that's what I feel like I may try and do with my kids eventually at some point, and have that kind of message come across. But again, like I don't know what it's like to be a mum or a dad, and that's fear and scare that may come through. So, but that's just my view on things, and that's me done. Sorry, came back a bit late.
Brother of the year.
Brother of the year. Does she appreciate that? What
No.
kind of response do you get from your sister?
No, it's a love-hate relationship.
But isn't that so interesting? It's like you.
Nah, she does.
Okay. Like you're coming in as a figure who is actually communicating with her, listening to her, like something different than what your parents probably.
And that's how that trust
do.
comes in. So certain things she may be able to tell me, she wouldn't tell my mom and dad, kind of thing. And it's understandable. And it's given them that kind of like space that they feel comfortable with. So for instance, when I was growing up, if I wanted to go out like for like a few drinks and stuff like that, my parents wouldn't say anything. Like it was not a problem. Like go there, make your own way back. Don't really care. Like it didn't matter at all. When my sister used to go out, sometimes it used to be like just an element of fear. Like make sure you lot get a cab booked back ready. Make sure you lot like don't go too overboard, kind of stuff. And you could see the dynamics change. And like maybe my sister used to be like at times, maybe she wouldn't say it as often, but she'd feel it. Like you never said anything to him when he was going out. What's the difference, kind of thing? And it's just care and intentions, isn't it? It's my dad's little girl, isn't it? My mum's little girl. They don't want anything to happen with me. Don't give a shit about you, man. You're gonna make your own way back anyway somehow, man. Don't worry about you. But with her, there was always this kind of like these things are gone. I think it's quite normal with families in general. But it's just the way they could have maybe twisted it and said it at the time to not come across as too protective, but at the same time just saying, look, if you need us, just give us a shout, have a good night. That might have been a better way of saying it rather than make sure you're back at this time, kind of thing. So it's a big communication change, but it makes the biggest a difference.
It does.
Can I just ask the question? And I'm just asking because this is something I had to learn quite later in life. How do you guys communicate with your parents? Do you communicate in the way that you feel that you would want them to communicate with you? Do you try to listen to understand? Are you reflecting back to them how you would want your boundaries to be respected? Like, are you giving them the same respect that you would want in return? Or is it just kind of like a pattern of complete communication fuckery, basically?
I feel like
I'd like
go on.
Go for it.
Sakes, we
Don't
need to
worry,
actually,
Pri,
we
don't
need to
feel bad for chatting.
Jeez. I feel like I do. I speak to how I'm speaking to you lot, how I speak to my parents. Like there is respect in the way I speak to them, but like I can swear around the house. I don't call my dad. I say geez. Mum is just mum or mumsy, whatever comes across. I push her around. We wrestle. We have like it's that kind of vibe, kind of thing. But I just feel that's grown over time, and it's been something quite normal. Whereas my sister, on the other hand, maybe doesn't have that same communication as I do with my parents. And yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, but I'm completely normal. I don't try and change the way I speak to them because I don't want them to change the way they speak to me moving forward.
Right, but
normal.
Like, do they talk to you about decisions that they're making, and like, do you kind of have that level of communication with them? That they come to you and be like, I'm thinking of selling the house or whatever. Like,
yeah, if it's anything like really like personal, serious, they may keep it between them. Like I don't tell my parents my personal stuff, neither does my sister. That's just the way we've been growing up, and people we feel comfortable speaking to about those kind of things. But like, yeah, if we're gonna sell the house, damn right, I better know, because you don't just leave me out. Where am I going? The fuck you playing at, Dad? Where you going? Kind of thing. But yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're on a level with, for sure.
For us, Heather, I have a younger brother as well, a few years younger to me, but our family has always been involved in any decisions that we make, small or big. That's how we grew up when we were little too. If it was anything that my parents would buy for the house, we would be involved in that decision-making process, even when we were building our house, etc. So there's a very open communication there between us. And what else? I was going to say something else. Yeah, the only reason they might not tell me or my brother something is when they know that we'll have a problem if they did do that, because now we have taken over the role of being the protectors, for the lack of a better word. Right? Like, for example, now with the current circumstance, we are like always telling them, because they're back home and we are here, we are worried obviously for them, because now we can take better care of ourselves, but they are older. So if they have to go out, then I'll pounce on them saying that, why are you guys doing this? Whatever, right? So things like that, they might keep from me only if they know that I'm going to start pouncing on them and yell at them for whatever reason. But otherwise, we have a very open communication between us.
Right.
Janice, please.
Don't you love how that role reversal happens once you get older?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'd love to share on this topic, because I come from like an opposite experience where like we've talked so much about communication, and I value it so highly, and like to think that I'm a great communicator, not only speaking, but really listening and trying to understand and interpret, like in every other relationship of my life. But, you know, we've also touched on this earlier, like going back to that sort of subconscious generational sort of pattern and programming. I mean, in my family, communication is definitely something I feel like we're at like a very, very baseline minimum, you know, like there's no sort of talking about feelings or emotional intelligence. And I feel like I've probably dedicated so much time to communication in my life because I felt so misunderstood as a child, you know? So it's and even to this day, it's like my contribution to the conversation as a family is like me listening and understanding that I can't really change the way someone is patterned to communicate. You know, it's the fucking hardest thing when you want to, you know, have a deep, meaningful conversation or relationship with someone, but your conversation is limited to like, you know, what did you eat today? You know, like, and that's the fucking real truth for me. It's like, it's, you know, because I could go so deep into this, and one day we will. I know you'll have all these great questions for me, but it's,
go deep now.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Why do you think that they're so closed off when it comes to communication?
I think they have their own personal trauma, you know, and that's, I can't force them to work on that or even, you know, tell them they have to be aware of this thing that, you know, as we discussed, like they don't know what they don't know. Like this is a pattern that they have, you know, they were parented perhaps in the same way. You know, I wasn't only one of my 4 grandparents I had a like real true relationship with. So I, you know, it's like I don't really know how they were parented. I can only make assumptions from their stories and all their sacrifices that they've made from the stories that they've told me. But, you know, growing up in an underdeveloped country, already like lacking resources, and, you know, it's like, I don't know. I mean, all I can say is like, I know, you know, I think I know that it's from personal traumas that they have undergone in their life. So, I mean, I only hope that one day the communication will be like, you know, I know it's gradually getting there or like slowly moving, but it's never going to be at, you know, this level of communication that I'm communicating with you right now. You know, it's like there's just, you can only go as deep with someone as they've gone with themselves. It's like, you all know that, and I completely understand that, and that has taken me a very long time to understand. Like I have studied psych to try to understand that, and literally only like a few months ago have I really truly been like okay with letting that part go.
With so many failed attempts to try and get them to open up and things like that, how do you think that that's impacted you?
Wait, one more time.
With so many failed attempts to try and get them to open up, how is that impacting you today?
I think it has just made me more empathetic, you know, like to really understand that, like I can't control people. It's like, it's almost like I finally get it, you know, it's like things that you have mentioned earlier in this call, that control of like, you know, you need to do this or like appease this family member or whatever. It's like, I'm not trying to, I feel like I can sort of look at it like I was trying to control that situation by trying to get them to understand me or like have a conversation in this way or try to talk to them in like a more mature, emotionally intelligent way when like, you know, again, it's like, it's okay. Like they can communicate however they communicate, and I understand where they're coming from. I deeply know the sacrifices that they have made, that they love me, that they were only trying to protect me. And does that answer your question? Does that answer the question? Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear how it impacts you today, like knowing what you know now, what does that do to your communication with other people even? But I think Pri's got some questions.
Yeah, I think that mainly I am a better communicator in all my other relationships and strive to be, you know, a listener, listen to understand others because of these relationships or failed attempts, you know. And again, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of, those are like now boundaries that I have with myself to like be my own warrior. Like I feel like I can only shine if I forget about, you know, that thought pattern of I'm not understood or I can't communicate with my parents, you know, because yeah.
I want to jump in quickly. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Of course you do.
Obviously, coaching with Pri. Let's get ready. Uncle Pri is ready to like to shake up the field. All right. So you said something. Quote me if I'm wrong. That you've accepted that things are just going to be the way they are with like your family in regards to like communicating with them. Yeah. You've
Did
accepted
I say that?
Right? I think you said that.
Yeah. So to that effect.
Is that what you want moving forward? Yes or no? Be honest.
No.
Okay, fine. So I can appreciate things that you've tried and you've done, and this is just like a little bit of coaching and keep it chilled. What things have
people? Heads up, people, because I know I'm not the only one in this.
There's one question I throw out to like all my clients is what's one thing, or list a number of things that you haven't tried that you reckon you could try moving forward to get to where it is that you want to be.
Dude, I even had my mom watch an interview with Dr. Shafaq. Okay, y'all, like it was like whoosh. I was like, I don't even have to do the talking. I'm gonna sit her in front of the TV, which she loves. No. Whoosh. Okay, so what are things I haven't tried? Like family therapy, family counseling.
Okay. What else?
I mean, I haven't written a letter. Look at all this shit I would tell my clients. Haven't written a letter to each of them. Have not just chipped away little by little, asking questions every day. Haven't sent little text or phone calls every day or every week. I mean, I'm sure there's so many things.
That's what I want to get at. And some of the things that you mentioned right here are things that you could have done and you haven't done. So maybe there's some resistance behind that. And if I was coaching you one-on-one behind closed doors, I'd maybe dig into why there's been some resistance there. But like,
I mean, I
sakes,
wouldn't
ask that now. Fuck's sake, I just said I'm not gonna ask
Side chat.
We can go off camera. You can take a little.
All right,
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
fine.
those are
What's
great
your-
questions. And I mean, I wouldn't deny that I'm resistant, you know. I mean, I'd say like baby steps, and up to this point, I have accepted or set my boundary, I would prefer to say, like to where I am at this point in my life. You know, it's like,
I want to
like,
stop you there.
okay,
What you said right now is you've accepted a situation you don't want to continue with.
yeah, but is it my number one priority at this moment?
That's a different story.
Yeah.
But then is that resistance there to make it not a priority? Is something you feel that way?
I mean, perhaps, but I would say go back to, again, like boundaries. I'm not trying to like, you know, try to like push back, but like boundaries. Like these are boundaries that I have set for my own mental health right now. You know, it's like emotionally, you can only do so much to especially in the line of work we do. It's like you need to energetically be present for your clients, not emotionally exhausted. And like during this time, like chipping very small. Yes, there's definitely more I can do, and I will consider doing a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, hell yeah, I'm resistance for sure, you know. And they're always, I mean, Shafaq has, you know, mentioned it. But yeah, resistance. There's resistance there, but I'm aware of it and hoping to work on it more and more. And
So
improve.
Janice,
God, is this fucking Janice coaching session?
Yes.
I quickly had
This
one
is what happens when you're quiet for like, you let everyone.
I let Kusum go first, and then I want to say something. But Kusum, you go first.
So based on what you just mentioned, Janice, you said two conflicting things there. I might be completely wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Please mirror.
One is boundaries, and then
Okay.
the other thing is you saying mental health, etc.
Okay.
Right? It's easy for us to label something, give it a name, so it makes it easier for us to deal with that rather than dealing with the real issue at the root of it or at the core of it. What is it for you?
What is the core of?
You said you put your own boundaries around, you know, dealing with or not dealing with the whole situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said you need to protect your mental health because you need to be there for your clients, etc.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I heard conflicting things there.
Okay.
So what is it really that you're trying to do there?
What is conflicting that boundaries are set to protect your mental health?
The reason that
feel
you're
like that's a
not,
fact.
you don't continue to try is the boundaries and to protect your mental
I
health.
mean, I don't think that I'm not continuing to try. I just haven't tried those list of things that I just mentioned, which, you know, are very valid things. I feel like I fucking tried a shitload, you know, and relationships are a two-way street. It's like I feel like I have practiced a lot of empathy in just getting myself to this point where I'm not resentful, you know? So I have to give myself credit for doing that. You know, it's like, that is legit mental health. Like, I can't just be like, I'm gonna fucking work on this until they talk to me and have the kind of conversations that I want them to have, like a fucking emotionally intelligent human being. Because like, I have to also, I'm a realist. Like, dude, like, that may not ever happen. And that's okay. You know, like, I want to view them as they don't need to be fixed, and they are like perfect as they are. And that's fucking hard already, you know? Like, that's like, you know, me continuing to try to chip away at that every single day is like, you know, I have to mirror my mirror and be like, well, why am I trying to do that? Like, that's more like an ego thing to me. Like, I'm just doing it so that I get my way, like, so that they communicate with me the way that I want to be communicated with. And like, I feel like I have let that go, or I'm trying to, you know, fucking practice every day. But dude, we could go so
I just want you
far
to
deep
ponder
into
over.
this.
I just want you to
But I want
ponder.
to self-manage. I mean, because we're like at time. Self-management.
I would just like to point out like one thing. You keep mentioning boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
then
that's the topic, though.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that there is resistance, right? So you said there's resistance, and then when you talk about,
I didn't say that, but you all mirrored that you are sensing some resistance. So that's what I'm going with.
okay, so well,
okay.
Your resistance, when we talk about what that resistance is, or we try to chip away from that, out of that resistance, you talk about boundaries. So I know that there's a lot of talk and a lot of content on how to set boundaries, but there's not a lot of talk on how to break unnecessary boundaries. For you, is it more important to set boundaries or to break boundaries to get to the goal of wanting better communication with your parents?
Well, I mean, I think boundaries evolve, you know, and I kind of said that already. Like, right now, where I am at is like, I have done a lot, and I will continue to do the work, but I don't know. Right now, I've set that boundary. Maybe it is me just like subconsciously resisting, but I think that that's
your boundary and
normal.
resistance comes in the same sentence. That's all we're trying to say. Your boundary is your resistance, is what we're hearing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't deny that. You know? Yeah, I don't deny that, but that is where I'm at right now.
Just checking in. Are you
Yeah.
all good right now? As in, obviously, it's coaching and chill, so you need to make sure you're all chilled as well. Is everything all good?
He's checking with you, Janice. Are you okay?
On that note, guys, I'll see you next week, all right? See you later.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Pretty good call. She was definitely not chill there.
Well, no, I was like deep in the moment, dude. I want to write that down, though. I want to write that down. My resistance is my boundary.
I'll send you the. But Talia wants to share something.
Yeah.
But isn't that? Oh, okay. Yes. Please shift.
Good.
Let's shift.
Done coaching. Now only chill.
Okay. That's
well,
a
done
little
coaching
taste.
for now.
For now.
There's a little taste of coaching for y'all.
Mm-hmm. No, I wanted to say that everything you spoke about resonates with me, because in contrast to what was shared by other participants, right, and that in my family it's a situation of over protection boundaries, in the sense that we don't share, we don't communicate. That question, like, what did you eat today? That's a go-to question with me and my family, because like, and I live abroad, right, far from them, and even distance doesn't go into like any depth. So I feel like I had, and probably like somewhere still hold some negative beliefs around that it's not going to change. But what I realized is that if I put that energy out, that's what they receive, because our energy affects the others, and we are responsible for our communication. So I asked those questions that Kusum Shafaq was asking, and just like asking, like, do I keep my side of the street clean? In a sense, do I do my work and that's all that matters, without any kind of consequences, in the sense that whether it works right now or I'm patient with this and it will come on later. And it came. That's what I wanted to share, that you keep this faith and the energy that you put out, and they come around. I know that it might be not in every case, everything, like everyone is different, but I truly believe in that energy exchange. And once I transform that belief that they will never understand me, that's what, like, I had this from from when I was teenager, like that belief that they will never understand me. Like I carried it with me for a long time. I didn't tell my family that I was doing coaching until like a month ago, literally. And I graduated in July. Because of that I thought that they would not understand me. They don't know me. We don't communicate. We don't share things like that. And they were happy for me. And I was like, wait, what? You're not crazy that I don't want to be a lawyer anymore? Like, you don't think that it will ruin my life? All the thoughts that I had. Yeah, but it starts with small steps, big priorities. That's it.
Love that. Thanks for sharing. Definitely agree or align with that energy shift. Working on it, y'all. Working on it. Woo! So now what? More on that. Now they're all gonna want to book private sessions with me.
Oh, we already have. We've been talking about it.
Great. I definitely have more to share on that with y'all.
We know.
To be continued.
Yes. But yeah, I fucking love all y'all and appreciate all of you sharing so intimately your life experiences and all the different backgrounds we come from. And it's like, this is only the surface, I feel like, of who we are. And it's like, we always joke that we're doing the work, and the truth is, the more we know, we don't know. So our hope is that we can just, I don't know, inspire you to take action in your own lives, whoever is watching this. And yeah, I mean, this is just a conversation, and if there's anything that resonated with you all watching out there, I don't know, drop us a line. I think we'll put all of our info down below. Just record this part.
Yeah.
Well, anything else anybody wants to close with?
I do want to add something, Janice. I
Yes,
think
please.
for those of you guys watching this, the only thing that I want you all to consider is, I know we jump from topic. It might seem like we jump from one topic to another, and we were going all over the place. But among the 6 of us, we knew what we were doing because this is exactly what we do on an ongoing basis. But if you felt lost, just know that we were trying to address what was coming up during this session among the 6 of us, right? It's not going to be the same every session after session. So if something along this session, if it resonated with you, hit pause and ask yourself the question to say that, where in my life is this true for me? Or is this something that is happening with me? What can I do? Or if there's something that you picked up from here that you could experiment and implement in your own life, especially given that this is the holiday season. You know, we're all going to be in family spaces, each other's spaces. So see where you can maybe, you know, come from a place of a little bit of grace towards yourself as well as, you know, people in your life. I think that's going to be extremely helpful. So hit pause every single time something resonates with you and ask yourself those tough questions that Janice was initially talking about. So with that, stay tuned for more, I would say. That's all that I wanted to add, Janice.
Yeah, no, that's great. And just to piggyback on that a little bit more, like in a coaching session, you know, you'll often come to the session with a topic or something you want to talk about in mind. But like the essence or the powerful part of the coaching session is how it evolves into something completely different, which kind of is what you all experienced today. So, yeah, well, anyway.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. See you next time.